What up, MMA fans? It's your boy Trippy, and today we're going to be talking about Tyron, the Chosen One Woodley, and why he must win this co-main event fight at UFC 261 against Vincente Luque. Why this will be a change in momentum for him if he wins this fight. And not talking bad momentum, because the guy has had a ton of bad momentum lately, but good momentum. Hopefully we'll see this man win a round in this fight. That'll honestly be shocking. I hope so, man. I really do like Tyron Woodley. I don't hate Tyron Woodley. I know he's rubbed a lot of the fans wrong, but, I feel for him. You know what I mean? It's just that, let's be honest, when he was champion, the boss man hated him. And, all that pressure, and the fans didn't like him because his boring style and all that pressure that he had, it made him kind of act like a bitch. It made him act like a bitch because, it's like the company almost wants you to lose because they don't want to market you as a champion anymore because you had piss poor fights, but it's really you fighting to the best way possible to win. Yes, he's not active in a lot of fights, but in the light of his title defenses, but there was real skill behind that. For him to have that type of impeccable defense, which is what it was, to lead him to have these boring fights, it's just that that takes skill, believe it or not, but it did not rub the company right. So it honestly made him act this way, and it rubbed a lot of the fans wrong, and I get the fans' side of the portion too, their side of the argument on why they hate Tyron Woodley. But anyway, this won't be a Tyron Woodley hates video. This is a Tyron Woodley must win video, so let's get right into it. So Tyron Woodley is currently on a 3-fight losing streak, coming from the champion Kamaru Usman, then Gilbert Burns, then Colby Covington. So Tyron Woodley's problem. Let's talk about what's wrong with Tyron Woodley nowadays. So a lot of people don't think about it, but it is mental. It is mostly mental, which is wrong with Tyron Woodley. And then the second thing is that his style is a little figured out. People have been watching Tyron Woodley's fights. Tyron Woodley is a vet and everybody sees it, and it's kind of like Conor McGregor. Everybody kind of has a way to beat him now. Everybody kind of knows, especially after seeing what Usman did to him. It just gave other fighters confidence, like, I can do that to him too. So fighters come in. Usman basically laid out the blueprint to beat Woodley, and then other fighters just followed right behind it. Pressure him, make him mainly focus on defense, and then open that defense up. Because whenever you only focus on defense like Tyron Woodley would, and you don't offer anything threatening back, they're just going to keep hunting you down and keep disrespecting you, get in your face, and impose their will on you. That's literally what happened. And then the other thing that I talk about is confidence. Tyron Woodley's confidence got shattered after that Kamaru Usman fight, because just think about it. He went in there and he got the piss beat out of him by a whole nother grown man. He got his belt taken, not only just taken from him, Kamaru Usman snatched that thing from him. Snatched at him and spit on him in the process, bitch slapped him, just did all that. It sucks when this is your job. It's even worse when this is your job. This fighting is your life, and fighting is what you do best, only to have another man come and basically knock down all your building blocks that you've been building your career with, Then that follows with taking a year off, Tyron Woodley did, and then basically the same thing happening with Gilbert Burns, except Gilbert Burns delivered a lot more head trauma than Kamaru Usman did. Gilbert Burns went in there and put another butt whooping on him. And then Colby Covington, who dealt the least amount of damage against Woodley, though ended up creating significant damage and beating Tyron Woodley down in the process, basically finishing off what was left of him. So let's go ahead and just talk about this. Vincente Luque is a significant drop in competition. So what does this mean for Tyron Woodley? Vincente Luque is definitely a skilled fighter, but I would say that he's just a step ahead of the bums in the division. I wouldn't call them bums, but kind of the over-the-hill fighters like Robbie Lawler, what's the other guy named? Donald Cerrone, Nico Price, all those guys, although Nico Price isn't over the hill, but Nico Price is probably a step down below Vincente Luque. But Vincente Luque is not the top of the line. So With that being said, that's no disrespect to Vincente Luque. Vincente Luque definitely has a path to victory. But Tyron Woodley has, in my opinion, no choice. If he loses this fight, that will look really bad. But enough on that. Let's just talk about the matchup. Can Tyron Woodley beat Vincente Luque? And I can say he absolutely can. This is a matchup that Tyron Woodley 100%, the skill and the matchup, he can 100% beat Vincente Luque if he comes in and fights like Tyron Woodley. He doesn't just only form into this defensive shell. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night for him again. Vincente Luque is just going to go in there with that pressure brawling style that he has. Because Vincente Luque, the thing is, Vincente Luque, he's not scared to get hit. And he is very hittable. And I can 100% see Tyron Woodley landing that big right hand on Vincente Luque if he goes for it. Another way is that Vincente Luque is also open. It's just mainly the defense of Vincente Luque. Vincente Luque has great offense, but his defense isn't all the way there. He's very hittable and he walks into stuff. And that is, for Prime Woodley at least, you're toast. If that's your style, if your defense is just to walk him down and you don't have great takedown defense and you don't have great striking defense, Tyron Woodley would obliterate you. That's just how the name of the game was for him. That was his path to victory, but he's changed, obviously. So if Tyron Woodley goes in there, he takes Vincente Luque down, countering that boxing with wrestling, with this high-level wrestling that he does have. His level of wrestling is higher than Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. It's higher. He can, I'm not saying he's a better MMA wrestler, but he can 100% go in there and take Vincente Luque down and control him on the ground. Beat him up with elbows. Beat him up with anything. Top control. He can go down there. He can take Vincente Luque down and control him down there. I have no doubt in my mind about that. Because Vincente Luque will be open to it. He'll also be open to that counter right overhand of Tyron Woodley. Also the leg kicks that Tyron Woodley throws. This is a winnable fight for Tyron Woodley if he fights like Tyron Woodley. Because Vincente Luque, though Vincente Luque can absolutely win this fight. And I can see it happening. But this is more so about Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley's legacy is on the line in this fight. And Vincente Luque does have a path to victory, because it's always when Tyron Woodley's confidence shattered mid-fight whenever something big happens in the fight, like a big moment. For Covington, it was landing those takedowns and controlling him, and then Tyron Woodley would get back up and Colby Covington would take him back down. Or Colby Covington would just always be in his face, and the body kicks just shut down the game plan of Tyron Woodley and make him go into that defensive shell, and Colby Covington impose his will on him. Vincente Luque, if he goes in there and cracks Woodley with the big shot, make him back up and force him to get back into that defensive shell, Tyron Woodley would absolutely do that. And it'll just be the same fights over again. Besides, I'll see it being a little more competitive, because though Tyron Woodley does go into a defensive shell, he does fire back a little bit. And Vincente Luque is very hittable, so he will hit Luque, but I think Luque will eat the shots and just go forward and then just keep hitting Tyron Woodley until Tyron Woodley offers him something to make him respect him. That is the biggest problem in Tyron Woodley's right now, is that he has to have his opponents respect him. None of his opponents that he fights respects him. They just don't. And so they just go in there and they just think, I'm going to just go in there and impose my will on him, because, shoot, he ain't going to do nothing. He ain't going to do nothing. All he's going to do is just try and defend everything. And then what he does fire back is insignificant. You know, he hasn't landed that right hand in a long time. He hasn't. I think the last time he landed that big right hand on somebody was Darren Till. And that sequence that he landed on Till, I can definitely see it landing on Luque and putting Luque down. It'll be a little tough to finish Luque, but I can 100% see him finishing Vincente Luque, but it'll be tough. If I have to go on my prediction, I don't see anybody getting finished. If any of them win, I would say it would be by a decision, whether it's Vincente Luque going forward on Tyron Woodley, forcing these brawls and basically winning the exchanges and backing Woodley up and piecing him up. I can see that happening. Or I can see Tyron Woodley fighting smart. dodging everything that Vincente Luque throws, circling around the outside, countering with takedowns. And when Vincente Luque overcommits with his boxing, Tyron Woodley ducking under the punch and landing that massive right hand, dropping Luque and controlling him on the ground, beating him up with elbows. I can definitely see that happening if Tyron Woodley comes in there and fights like Tyron Woodley. But that's been my little breakdown of the fight. My prediction video will be coming out later this week, so you guys stay tuned for that. But let's have another debate in the comments. Do you think Tyron Woodley will beat Vincente Luque? Or do you think Tyron Woodley's career is over, essentially?